Hi, welcome to my channel, Life After Losing My Child. On this channel, I like to talk about my own personal experiences after losing my daughter. The purpose of this channel is to have a place where grieving families that have suffered the loss of a child can get honest about grief, find support, and inspire one another towards our own individual healing. If this sounds good to you, then hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell to stay tuned to my upcoming videos. Thank you. So today I'd like to talk about the different questions and comments that you may experience after losing your child, at least the ones that I've experienced after losing my daughter. And I talked to different grieving parents, and they kind of said they've experienced the same questions and comments. This is for those that have lost a child, but also for the supporters or people that have known people that have lost children. Maybe you said some of these things yourself, and it's not to attack people, but it is to say that sometimes these questions and comments can come off as hurtful and being insensitive. It's not meant to. A lot of them are meant to actually be helpful and to connect with those that have lost a child, but it's not always taken that way. Well, at least for me, I haven't always taken those questions and comments that way. Also, excuse me if I end up looking down, because I do have them listed and I can't remember all of them. But so anyway, so the first one that usually comes up is, of course, what happened. So a lot of times people want to know, well, what happened, and this came even right after I lost my daughter, because there were so many different circumstances and of people having all these things made up in their head as to how my daughter passed. I don't know how that came to be, but I guess probably just things circling around from her school and different things like that. But my daughter passed away of type 1 diabetes, and she was misdiagnosed or not diagnosed or whatever you want to say, but it was being said that she had an aneurysm, all these different things that didn't occur. She had type 1 diabetes and we were unaware of it. So I took her to the hospital, and then they misdiagnosed her, or as they called it, failure to diagnose. And they said that she had a virus and to take her home and she would be fine. So the very next day, I found her passed away in her bedroom. I say all that to say this is not questions that we necessarily always want to go into, especially for me, because I'm talking about my own personal experiences. So for me, I don't always want to talk about what happened. It's very traumatic what happened, anytime you lose a child is traumatic, you know what I mean? But especially for me to talk about, I found her passed away in her bedroom. I tried to resuscitate her. I had to go through, it's very traumatic to go through that. So if we don't have to talk about it, then, please don't ask us, constantly, well, what happened? Or ask for more detail. It's already hard enough to even wrap our mind around what happened, let alone keep telling that story over and over again. So that's one thing. When someone lost their child, give them some space. If they want to talk to you about what happened, then allow them to talk to you about what happened, but don't ask and keep asking, Another question is, how many children do you have? I always kind of find that hard to answer. I guess it depends on the situation, because if I say I have one in heaven and one on earth, then it becomes, well, what happened? So, that becomes a question. Sometimes I just say two. Sometimes I just say one, because I don't want to go into everything that happened. I guess it all varies. It depends. But, people that don't know, they'll say, oh, how many kids do you have, just out of conversation, because that's something that we do, especially as women, as mothers. That's something we do. It's just very painful. It could be very painful to answer that question. Now, of course, if you're a stranger, you're not going to know. You know what I mean? Like, whether to ask that question or not. I'm just going over different questions that can be hurtful for us as grieving parents. Not just mothers, fathers too. Grieving parents, it's hard to answer that question. The other one, though, that comes up is, do you have any more children? I'm kind of lumping these ones together. Do you have any more children? As though if you have more, it kind of makes up for the one you lost. Like, I don't know why people think that way. Another comment people make is, at least you have more children. Same thing. It doesn't make up for the one you lost because you have more. And every child has their own special place in a parent's heart. And to think that at least you have more kids, like, I understand. I feel very, very devastated for those that lost their one and only child. It's very devastating. It's also devastating too, though, to lose a child, and then, I should say, it's, I don't know, devastating, but it's very hard and difficult to lose a child and then still have children, because you still have to go on and be a mother to them and be patient with them, and then try not to shelter them, and then you're worried about them dying. It's hard, and then you worry about their grief and how they're suffering with their sibling passing, and it's just hard. Any way you lose a child, it's so hard. But I think it's kind of insensitive to say, like, oh, well, at least you have more. Okay. I mean, I heard someone say, well, which one of your kids would you want to give up? You know what I mean? Are you willing to trade or give in because at least you have more? It's just not a sensitive thing to say. It's very hurtful. That's one. I mean, well, those are lumped together. Those are like another one. But also, you must move forward. It's time to move on. Those things. I think people have been smart enough not to say those things to me. But I have heard those comments said to other grieving parents, because they told me, like, oh, it's been X amount of time and people feel like I should be moving forward, or I should take down their poster, or I should rearrange their room, no, I think it's all in your timing. This is a road that you walk alone. I mean, I guess people could say there's a point where it's unhealthy, I guess, to have your kids' room the same way for whatever amount of time, but that's what they say. I still have my daughter's clothes in a box that I have not touched since she passed away, and it's been 5 years, and I've not opened the box. I can't even go into the box, and I would dare someone to tell me to either throw out her things or to go through her things or any of that stuff, because how can they tell me when it's time for me to be able to walk through that door, like, to hold on to her things, to see her in those clothes, though, you know what I mean, picking up the clothes out the box and looking at the shirt and then going back in my mind to the time where she wore it and all those things. I mean, it is so hard, you know what I mean, to move forward and to move past those things. I mean, people don't understand that this was your child. This was a part of you, like literally your DNA. This was a piece of you. So for people to just say, oh, it's time to move on, like whose timetable? Whose timetable says that? And why do people feel like you should be measuring up to their time, to when they say, you know, oh, it's time to move forward, time to move on? Because grief doesn't have a time, you know. Another one is when people see you and they say, oh, you know, how you holding up or whatever. It's been so long, like since your child passed, you know. And I know for me that like even 5 years feels like not long at all. You know what I mean? Especially after like the first year or two, and people are like, oh, it's been 2 years already. And I felt like it was just yesterday. When you go through a traumatic experience like losing your child, everything feels like it just happened. So for people to be like, yeah, it's been a while, you know. Oh, it's been X amount of years or X amount of time. Don't say that. Don't say don't say that, because for us it feels like it just happened yesterday. The wound is still open. You know, for me, since it's been 5 years, it doesn't feel like it just happened yesterday, but it does feel like it's only been like a year. You know, I still feel like it's so recent and it's so raw. I'm just now able to talk about losing my child and being honest, not just with the public, but honest with myself about these things. Another thing is, what are you doing for the holidays or for their birthday or for whatever? Some people might enjoy that question, I guess, to get suggestions or whatever. I don't know. I don't like that question because I don't know what I'm doing for the holidays. The holidays, her birthday, her death date, every day is very difficult. So especially though the holidays, because that's when like so many memories and traditions and everything come together. And I think that it's more of a time where you like know you can't hide that something is missing. You know what I mean? Not that you can hide on a daily basis that something is missing, but you could keep yourself busy. You know what I mean? That your child is going. You could try to occupy your mind. But on those specific holidays, birthdays, death date, all those things, it brings to the surface and it highlights and puts a spotlight on the fact that your child is gone. So even if I have an idea of what I'm going to do for the holidays or birthday or death day or any other special time, that is subject to change all the way up until that hour or that day or whatever. Like I might have something to do, a new tradition I started to honor her or different things, but then when the day comes or the hour comes, I might feel like I can't do it. So yeah, just I would stay away from that kind of question. I mean, unless you had a suggestion to help the person with their grief or were willing to come alongside them to say, hey, what are you doing for the holidays? If you need me, I'm here. Maybe we could start a new tradition. Maybe we could do this, do that. But don't even put pressure on that, because they may feel like, yeah, thank you, whatever. And then the moment come and then they're like, no, I'm good. I just want to crawl in bed and not do anything. Another one is that a comment that I have heard a few times. Because I'm laughing because I get a little like defensive or crazy on this question or comment, but is that you can't question God. You shouldn't question God. You can't question God. It's all in God's will and timing. You have to just da-da-da. I could question God. I could question God all I want. He gave me an analytical mind. I could question him every day and every second of the day if I want to. Now, I say that, but I also say you have to understand also the character of God. So I could question him, but when he gives me an answer, I have to be willing to accept what the answer is because I understand his character. So his character is loving. His character means me no harm. He's not a man that he should lie. So when he says he'll never leave me nor forsake me, he means that. When he says that he binds the wounds of the brokenhearted, he means that. So I could question him because I have. Throughout this whole process I have, and I probably will continue to, but when he gives me an answer, I also have to know that due to his character to be able to accept his answer. You have to be strong is another comment that I've heard. You have to be strong. You gotta. How much stronger do you want me to be? I'm still here, okay? I'm still alive, all right? So that whole you have to be strong, really, you lose your child and then tell me how strong you need to be, So just be careful of the things that you say, because it takes strength just to even open our eyes, just to be able to even want to live. It takes strength to now be able to find a purpose, and that brings me to another one, which is you have to find a new normal. And I know I said this in my last video, but seriously, finding a new normal. A big part of being a parent, you find purpose in that. You find purpose in being a mom and a dad and helping this being that you've been entrusted with to grow. So that whole new normal, I know what people are saying, but it could be confusing because normal was me and my child. Now, being new, how can it be normal at the same time? I get the whole new normal thing, though. I mean, I'm not, an idiot. I get it. What they're trying to say. But if your purpose and everything, a lot of it is in your child like that. I have a purpose to help this child grow. Yeah, you have your own individual purpose, but part of that is wrapped up in the roles that we play. At least that's like how you feel as a parent. And so, to find a new normal is very difficult. It's difficult to find something to be normal that you have had in your life for some time. Even if you were pregnant and lost a baby, I mean, it still was normal to expect that baby to be born and to have all this future with this child and different things like that. That was normal. So now to find a new normal, it's like living in a whole different dimension, or asking a person to live in a dimension where that no longer exists, and now you have to, how difficult would that be for everybody? And think about that. To live in a whole new dimension where no longer your child exists, and now you just have to live this way. But you've known that child. You know what I mean? You experienced that child. Like I said, even if you were pregnant, because a lot of times people, and I keep saying that because people think like maybe because you didn't get to experience that child outside of the womb, that somehow, I don't know, it's a less loss. But that's not true. You still carry that child. You had dreams of what that child would be. You had memories of being pregnant with that child. It's still all the same. So the whole finding a new normal for me, I'm trying. I'm trying. Um, Another one is, and this is the last one I think I'm going to talk about, is that when people say, I understand because I lost a father, mother, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, cat, dog. And I say cat, dog because someone did tell me that they lost their dog. And so they understood how I felt losing my child. So I understand that a lot of times people look at their pets like family members. But for me, that was very insensitive and hurtful thing to say, to compare my child to you losing your pet. I say just be mindful of the comments that you make, because they can be so much more hurtful. We're so much more fragile after we have lost our child. We're already broken, and then the comments and things that people say, the questions they ask are so much more hurtful that they could drive us even further into depression, make us feel more isolated because we feel so misunderstood already. It's just I just want you to be careful. Just be mindful. Be supportive. Try to put yourself in the shoes of someone that lost one of the greatest loves they'll ever know. Like, just try. Try to be sensitive. And like I said, this isn't an attack. It's to help, I hope, to help try to educate through letting you know what my experience is and what other people's experiences have been for grieving parents. So if you like this video and can relate to what I'm saying, please leave a comment of maybe the questions or comments that you've gotten as a grieving parent. Maybe if you have some questions about what to say, or maybe what you have said to those that have lost a child, or whether you want to know if it's appropriate or something like that, then feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, and also to hit the bell so you can stay tuned to my upcoming videos. Once again, it's definitely not a stab at those that have maybe made these comments. It's just to let you know that maybe unintentionally the comments have been hurtful. But anyway, hope to see you soon. Hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye.